For the 8th consecutive season, the PBA is in Fountain Valley, just south of Hollywood. Today is the 12th singles event of the season and the last before next week's third major, the USBC Masters. We welcome you to the Denny's Dick Weber Open. Glad you're with us here in Orange County. I'm Rob Stone, and what a fitting time for the PBA's most marketable talent, Pete Weber, to make his TV debut this season. It was almost to the day 4 years ago that his legendary father, Dick Weber, passed away, and here's his son, Pete, trying to win his first title in nearly 2 years, and the tournament named in honor of his father. Dick Weber, one of the true legends of the game. He won 8 of the first 18 PBA Tour events in history. He eventually concluded his career with 30 titles and 6 majors. Dick Weber, the only player to win in 6 different decades, and was named the 1965 Player of the Year. And the pins don't fall far from the rack. 46-year-old Pete has won 34 tour titles, including 8 majors. A win today, and only the greats Earl Anthony and Walter Ray Williams Jr. will have won more career titles than PDW. 13-time titleist Randy Peterson joins us right now, and for Pete, it's been a wonderful run, but not an easy one for him, trying to get out of the shadow of his dad.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pete grew up in the shadows of one of the greatest players of all time. Dick Weber was so well respected on and off the lanes, and it was a tough spot for Pete to be in. He knew he had some huge shoes to fill. And I think the turning point for Pete was when he surpassed his father in career victories. Once that happened, I think Pete found his own new identity. He was no longer just the son of Dick Weber, he was PDW.
It was a different era, but if you go stat to stat, Pete is well above his dad. Again, completely different eras, hard to compare that. Pete Weber is your number 2 seed today in our stepladder format, and it is a good-looking format. Should Pete win his match, he will take on fellow Hall of Famer, number 1 seed Norm Duke. Ryan Shafer's the number 3 seed, but we begin with Michael Fagan seeking his first singles title versus reigning Player of the Year, Chris Barnes. Always a strong crowd here in Fountain Valley, just south of LA. And there's a live look at Michael Fagan, the 28-year-old, 7-year pro, taking on the reigning Player of the Year, as we just mentioned, Chris Barnes. Fagan from Patchogue, New York, on Long Island, about 50 miles east of Manhattan. Has one Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour title on his resume. That a doubles title that he won last season. Looking for his first singles victory. Kicks it.
A very unique style, and we've got a variety of styles on today's telecast. A lot of that due to the demanding oil pattern. We'll get into that a bit later.
Here's Chris Barnes, 11th year on the tour, 38-year-old from Double Oak, Texas, seeking his first title of the season. Looked like a good pocket hit, avoids the 10.
And you're right, Rob, it is a good pocket hit. Unfortunately, the 6-pin's going to go around the 10. Leaves that vicious ring in 10. The good news is the ball's in the pocket. And talking with the players this week, they said, you know, any ball that doesn't hit the pocket has a great chance of turning into an open frame.
We're going to talk more about the oil pattern coming up in our broadcast, but this will give you a clue of just how demanding it is. Talked to Chris Barnes yesterday, and he said, I brought 19 different bowling balls with me this week and used about 17 of them. Normally, if I make a show, I use 5 or 6, just 5 or 6, and of those 5 or 6, mainly just 2 or 3.
Well, I think Chris is smiling after that shot because if you were listening, this ball here was a little double dribble right at the foul line, and this ball ends up high flush. So I don't know if that's something that Chris wants to duplicate throughout the match, double dribbling each shot into the front part of the lane.
Hey, if it drops all 10, double dribble all day. is not going to get pushed. Fagan, a strong start this season, opened with consecutive 6th place finishes. This will be his 4th top 10 of the season, but by far his best result of the season. Made today's telecast by all of 4 pins over Tony Reyes. Takes care of the single pin conversion. Clean game so far for Fagan, and that's good for a youngster who's looking for that first singles title, get that confidence.
Well, Michael doesn't have a lot of television experience. This is only his 5th show, and as you alluded to, only 1 win, and that was the doubles with Danny Wiseman last season in Vegas. And, you know, early on, Michael's just trying to avoid the protein spill, try to get his feet underneath him and gather his nerves. And then after that, just try to somehow find the 1-3 pocket on, again, a very demanding oil pattern.
Strike for the 3-time All-American at St. John's University.
Big high backswing. He said he kind of mirrored Pete Weber's style growing up, and that's why he's got such a high backswing. Pete Weber's backswing in his younger days was almost vertical. Today you'll see a much lower backswing, but that comes with age and years of bowling.
That one heavy. And again, this oil pattern makes you adjust, Randy, almost every single shot.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of transition that's going to happen today, and that's just because of the oil pattern itself. But also here at Fountain Bowl, the players going from lane to lane, pair to pair, were always on guard.
Single pin conversion there for Chris Barnes. He had an opportunity in Reno. He's going to love this flashback. Taking on Patrick Allen. Late stages, left the 7, and might have rushed a little bit. Hated it as soon as it left him. Open frame, and that handed the match to Patrick Allen, who would go on to win that title.
And it was an awful break, and it couldn't have happened at a worse time. And then Chris started calculating the scores and just lost focus and missed it.
There's his 2nd strike of the afternoon. The conclusion of Fagan Barnes win ESPN, and the PBA return to Fountain Valley.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by H&R Block. Go to PBA.com and sign up to win tax services for 5 years and $5,000. H&R Block. You've got people. By Lumber Liquidators. Hardwood flooring for less. By Denny's, where America's favorite breakfast is now available to go. Real breakfast 24/7. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save 15% on your car insurance. Visit geico.com.
We welcome you back to ESPN and PBA's continuing live coverage of the Denny's Dick Weber Open, and Chris Barnes goes to the seat after a tough round here. Here's a look at the 5th frame, and Randy, he leaves the Greek church, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10.
Yeah, it looked like that ball really checked up on him, and of course, with as much good fortune as Chris has had on television, he pays the ultimate price leaving the Greek church. And then comes back on the left lane and leaves the 2-4, narrowly avoiding another open frame. He kicked the 10 out late.
So an open frame and a spare for Barnes while we were gone. Fagan rolled a 9 spare and then a strike. Here he is in the 6th on the right lane where no one has struck yet. And still nobody has dropped all 10 on the right lane.
Chris Barnes was the higher seed, so he had the choice of which lane he wanted to start and finish on. Chris chose to have Michael Fagan start the match, which puts Michael Fagan on the right lane in the 10th frame and Chris on the left lane. And obviously there's a reason why. Not one strike yet on this right lane.
Takes care of the spare to Fagan, and we take a H&R Block, second look at the unorthodox form of Mr. Fagan.
Well, first thing, he's got a Sarge Easter grip. His middle finger's fingertip, his ring finger's conventional. And just a phenomenal form and style, a lot of fun to watch. But check this out. How about the left heel coming off of the ground right at impact? Creates a lot of power, a lot of speed. He's got a very loose arm swing and a very fast snapping wrist action at the bottom of the swing.
Come on, 10.
You know, we talked about all the different styles on television today with Michael Fagan, a big high-power guy, Chris Barnes, a lot of power, very end-over-end roll, Norm Duke with that straight shot. Michael Fagan said, you know, if I can survive a couple of games, he thinks that he can break the oil pattern down to where he can get in and freewheel it and have the inside part of the lane all to himself.
He has a clean game so far. 3 strikes, 7 spares. Neither competitor has been able to string a pair of strikes together yet. We knew this oil pattern was going to be challenging and some low scoring, but the fact that we have yet to see back-to-back strikes in this match, a bit surprising. No one has struck on the right lane, which is where Chris Barnes is right now.
That lane is just a lot of fun.
That would be sarcasm, folks.
And you know, that could have, excuse me, that could have very well have happened in the 5th frame because it was the same kind of hit. And, you know, I was very interested to see what kind of move Chris would make on that lane. He's got instant hook and right now has lost the pocket completely on the right lane.
I told us yesterday here at Fountain Valley, you'd never really get to feel comfortable here, and some of that has to do with the oil pattern that you have to deal with here.
Well, at 39 feet in length, the Dick Weber pattern is designed to maximize creativity and performance from the best bowlers in the world, and we're seeing that now. This week, players played all over the place. They played out, they played in, and everything in between. And it was the players that anticipated moves and made the big adjustments. They were the ones that were able to stay on top of the transition.
Only time this oil pattern will be used this season. Thankfully for many here, as Barnes almost went Brooklyn there.
Terrible.
We only had 2 300 games this week.
One of them by Pete Weber, our 2 seed.
Yeah, and again, it was Mike Devaney was the other. But I think traditionally over the years, this center has played difficult going from pair to pair. Remember, the players don't just sit on one lane and bowl, you know, all the games. They move around all over the building. They're constantly changing pairs. And so that's what was the biggest issue this week. One side of the house would play better than the other. The middle part of the house, some pairs would hook early, some pairs wouldn't. And quite honestly, Rob, I think when you have that, the cream really rises to the top. The better players are always going to prevail.
Barnes has now gone the last 4 frames without a strike. Fagan on that right lane, still seeking a strike there. And we're not going to get it.
And here's what you have on the right lane, and this is what Chris Barnes is struggling with. And when you watch Chris Barnes go through the nose, you're like, why doesn't he give it a little bit of room to the right? And this is the reason why. Michael Fagan trusts it a bit more to the right, and the ball never gets back. So the right lane right now has caved in. The middle part of the lane hooks. The outside part of the lane is tight. For those of you at home, we call that a reverse block, one of the toughest conditions to bowl on or score on.
Fagan in good control of this match through 8 frames, but he knows he has to fight his way through a loaded field today.
I try not to. If you think about that, you're not worrying about yourself, and you know I need to get out there and worry about my game and what I'm going to do. And there's no defense in bowling, so I'm just going to go out there and bowl the best I can, and hopefully my score wins.
And he lists Chris Barnes as his toughest opponent, period. He's always tough, no easy matches out of him. And he always learns something from rolling against Barnes. It's been a while since we could celebrate a strike. And there in the foundation frame, Fagan gets a big one, but the 10th frame for Fagan will be spent on that dicey right lane. Barnes down 15 as he begins his effort in the ninth.
And this is the key shot for him, trying to somehow find a strike on this right lane.
There it is.
That was a huge adjustment, Rob, and just a world-class shot that he threw there, because he knows that if he strikes 9th and 10th frame, he can shoot 203, which would force Michael Fagan to get at least the first strike in the 10th and good count on the right lane.
Big man not going down without a fight. Well chronicled. The issues Chris Barnes has had on television, particularly last season, was able to finally kind of fight through it en route to winning Player of the Year honors. Some struggles this season on TV as well, including the opening of this match, but now he's fought his way back into contention to win this one. And as I say that, he leaves double wood.
Well, it wasn't that bad. He trusted it. It just looked like it was just a pinch firm, and that's why it didn't make it back.
This pattern and these lanes are going to be testing our rollers all afternoon.
Well, even with a strike here in his fill shot, Michael Fagan will just need 8 pins total in the 10th frame to move on. The best Chris Barnes can shoot now is 183. If Michael Fagan were to get 8 in 2 balls, he would shoot 184.
We were talking to the bowlers yesterday. They said anything in the 220s would be a really high score today.
That's what he wanted, Rob. A little bit softer. He got it to turn the corner.
So Barnes sits down with a 183 up now. 28-year-old Michael Fagan has only won once on television in singles competition, needs just 8 pins here in the 10th to move on to take on Ryan Shafer. There's your 8 and more.
And more importantly, Rob, he needs to somehow get dialed in on the right lane for his upcoming match with Ryan Shafer.
That was his first strike on the right lane, the first back-to-back jacks of this first match. And it comes in the 10th. So Barnes is done, and he'll focus on Las Vegas, the USBC Masters next week from the Cashman Center, the 3rd major of this season.
Rob, while we have a moment, we'd like to send our condolences out to the Benoit family. Bob and Rick. Bob, an ex-tour champion out here. Rick, a tour rep for one of the manufacturers. Their father, Dwayne, passed away earlier this week. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Benoit family.
.204, 183. A nice confidence-building victory for Michael Fagan over the guy he considers his toughest opponent on the tour, Chris Barnes. Up next, your number 3 seed, Ryan Shafer, takes to the wood. He's the last man to bowl a 300 on national television.
Dick was really extra special. You know, he had a certain charisma that came out of him.
On the lane is a given. It's what he did off the lane that separates him from movie stars, from other athletes that want to get paid for autographs. You know, he was just there.
When I lost to Dick Weber in Vegas, something happened to me that I would never believe happened to me. I wasn't angry. I couldn't believe that.
He was the greatest ambassador. He'll always be. And he'll never be forgotten in the game of bowling.
And again, Dick Weber's son, Pete Weber, making the show today. He's our number 2 seed, and he'll be taking on the winner of this match between 3 seed Ryan Shafer and 5 seed Michael Fagan. Fagan beat Chris Barnes 204 to 183. There is Ryan Shafer from Horseheads, New York, West Central New York, near the border of Pennsylvania, and there is some activity going on in New York that directly affects him as we speak. Talk about that momentarily, but we begin with Michael Fagan, and he will begin on the left lane.
Hey, big shock there. Ryan Shafer has choice of starting lane. He makes Michael Fagan finish on the right lane.
Means he's been paying attention. '21st year on the tour for Ryan Shafer. 4 Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour titles, 0 majors. That one heavy on the right. It has been 108 events since his last victory. Came November 23rd in '03, the Empire State Open in Latham, New York. Since that victory, he's made 13 telecasts, had 7 second-place finishes. Good pickup.
And Rob, he's a former Rookie of the Year, and really the only thing that missing on his resume is victories. Ryan is one of the best players out here on tour, probably the most underrated player out here. He's got so much talent and so many skills. And again, unfortunately for him, only the 4 wins with 48 telecasts.
Almost went Brooklyn, so he's having some issues with the lanes early.
Yeah, and he did get practice during the commercial break, so it's not like, you know, he had to step on this tough pair and just start throwing. He got practice. So whatever his game plan was to start with, I've got a feeling it's going to change.
And change right now.
Yeah.
Takes care of the spare. He takes the seat. Fagan steps up. Michael Fagan now with just 2 singles victories on television. Again, he has 1 Lumber Liquidator PBA Tour title on his resume, but that was a doubles event. Trying to seek his first singles title, and it's something he says, you know, really kind of validate myself. You know, I still don't feel like my performance has been there on TV, and a singles victory would be there.
There's a ball change on that top right lane, Rob, and that ball really came off the spot hard.
Back-to-back jacks for Fagan. Our thanks to Susan Wallace, the director, franchise operations and growth for Denny's. Nice smile on Susan.
Did you get your free Grand Slam breakfast on Tuesday?
I took the wife and the twins out there. Literally, I planned my Tuesday around that the free Grand Slam crowd into the parking lot. I said, I don't need my flapjacks that bad. But I do love me a Grand Slam.
Yeah,
and that's not a plug. You know that.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah.
This shot here just going to drift just a pinch high, but the good news is he avoids the potential devastating split. Working on a double, looking to stay clean, only has the 4-pin to convert. And Rob, today I think the theme is going to be, you know, catch your doubles, maybe a three-bagger when you can, but avoid the open disastrous frames. Try to bowl a clean game, because I think it's going to be tough today to string more than 3 or 4 strikes together.
Fagan had a clean game in match number 1. His opponent, Chris Barnes, did not, and that was pretty much the difference. Here's Shafer, spare so far. Here's his effort in the 3rd. Big bowling day for Shafer here and in Elmira, New York today.
I have a friend back home named Jim Comfort, and 10 years ago he wanted to start a youth scholarship tournament, and he asked me if it was okay to do it in my name, and I thought it was a great idea. So today just happens to be the day that the tournament's being held at my home house at Rossi Lanes, and it's a great opportunity for youth bowlers to win some scholarship money, but better, it gives them something to look forward to because they can bowl their entire lives.
Draws junior bowlers from New York and Pennsylvania, kids of all ages. The 10th annual Ryan Shafer Youth Match Play Tournament going on now in Elmira.
Hold it.
And that's just Ryan Shafer doing what all athletes should do, and that's giving back. They should give back to the sport that's been so good to them, and that's what makes Ryan Shafer the guy that he is. Now, getting back to what he's doing on the lanes, he's made 2 significant ball changes and has completely changed his angle of attack.
His 3rd spare in 4 frames. We wrap up Shafer versus Fagan when we return the winner to take on Pete Weber. Back to live action. Shafer in the 6th. His 2nd consecutive strike. It was nothing but strikes while we stepped aside. Fagan has figured out the right lane. And Shafer, in his 3 attempts on the right lane, a spare and 2 strikes. Tight one. Fagan with a 10-pin lead. He begins his effort in the 6th, looking for a 3-bagger. Would be the first 3-bagger of our broadcast today. Brooklyn turkey tastes good.
Especially when it's a trip 6 on a double and the lanes are tough. And this is the result of him not getting the ball far enough to the right. And the reason for that, Rob, is because he knows in the back of his mind, if he gets it a little too far to the right, it'll fall off the cliff, and he runs the risk of leaving 2-4-10, 2-8-10, or washout.
Randy, do you feel something, a different vibe in the crowd right now? Some anticipation?
I do. I feel it. I feel it.
Hambone! Great Hambone signs today in LA. Cut them up, show them to me. Woo-hoo! Big 4-bagger for Fagan.
I'm just so glad that we can be a part of your day, Rob, when somebody throws 4 in a row.
You know, Randy, you and I, we're BFFs.
What does that mean?
Best friends forever.
Awesome.
Shafer looking for 3 in a row in the 7th.
Come on.
Here
Come
comes.
on, Messenger!
Ryan Shafer really showing off his versatility. But you know what? When you watch Ryan Shafer throw the bowling ball, you may think to yourself, wow, it looks like he spins it. But his axis point is 5 inches straight across from his grip center. Even though it looks like a spin, he's covering a very large circumference of the bowling ball, and this is a very large strike when he needed it most.
There's the best sign ever. There you go. See, I told you we were BFFs.
Oh my God.
I can't wait to look at that one again. That had us cracking up in warm-ups. Shafer looking for a Hambone in the 8th. Hambone!
It's game on now. A lot of electricity out here on the lanes, a lot of electricity on that bowling shirt right there. And Ryan Shafer is showing you his talents. He started the match trying to hook it. He went through the nose, he went Brooklyn, and he said there's no way this is going to work. He made 2 ball changes, and next thing you know, he's tied, or excuse me, he's within 10 pins of this match.
These two going toe-to-toe right now. They've both strung 4 baggers. Now Fagan looking for 5. Yahtzee! Drops the nickel in the 8th. 7 out of 8 frames have been strikes for Fagan, seeking his first ever singles tour title. That's right, Yahtzee it up, ladies.
And again, we talked about the Brooklyn shot the last time on this right lane, and he just gives this one a little bit more trust. The ball lost just a little bit of enthusiasm right before it got down to the head pin, and it's 10 in the pit.
So we saw Fagan and Barnes struggle mightily in our first match, a 204 to 183. What has happened here in match number 2 to see this spike in the scores?
Michael Fagan's more comfortable. He has a perfect understanding of what he has to do to get his ball to the pocket. Ryan Shafer, he's playing the lanes completely different than Chris Barnes tried to play him. A little bit less hand, going straighter. So you've got 2 guys that have a really good idea and a good blueprint of what the lanes are doing.
Crack open the 6-pack for Fagan.
Buddy, you've got all the lines today, all of them. You're on fire.
Love LA. I love it.
Now, if we could just get you an Argyle ESPN polo.
Yeah, Fagan looks good in the Argyle, huh?
He's got matching socks,
yeah,
too.
I heard that.
Swear to you.
The top looks good. We'll have to discuss the socks. But this is a big effort here for Shafer in the foundation ninth, looking for 5 in a row for himself. Down 30. Never found the pocket.
Can't miss it like that, Ryan. Can't miss it like that. Gotta miss it.
Fagan
Can't miss it.
looking really strong to move on to our semis to take on Pete Weber now.
And again, the fine line, even at release, forget about just hitting a target. It's got to be out of your hand perfectly. And you heard Ryan Shafer say he has to miss it, but that one was missed too much. And what he means by that is his touch at the release point has to be perfect. A little too much hand, it overhooks. A little not enough hand, and he flags the head pin just like he did there. And he knew that that was a must-strike situation for him because striking out 9th and 10th frame gives him 259. Michael Fagan going at 270 pace if he strikes out. Right now, best Ryan Shafer can shoot 235.
Now again, Fagan closing in on that right lane. In match number 1, that was an issue for everybody. Match number 2 for Fagan, he's 4 for 4 strike-wise on that right lane.
Correct, but remember this, my friend.
Yes.
One of them was a Brooklyn strike.
A strike is a strike in Rob's book. But I hear you, expert.
And you heard
go a game here without leaving a 7, Penn.
You heard the players talk about in interviews last night. You know, 220s would be very good today. Ryan Shafer with a spare here is going to be in the 220s. Unfortunately for him, Michael Fagan can strike out to shoot 279.
Takes care of the spare, and one more effort for Shafer. Well, at a minimum, Shafer can still enjoy the Super Bowl victory by his Steelers. Again leaves the 7. We take a look at the Denny's Player of the Year points race. And Norm Duke, our number 1 seed today, if he is to win, he would go up to 56 points, just 2 behind Wes Malott and 8 better than Patrick Allen. The top 10 in our Player of the Year at the end of the season competed our end of the year King of the Hill tournament.
I didn't say it.
In our backyard in Florida.
Yeah, aren't we going to be on prime time?
Ooh, Wednesday night primetime, that's right. That one had shades of Brooklyn written on it as well.
Yeah, the right lane's going to be the deciding factor today. And unfortunately for Michael Fagan, he will not have choice of starting lanes. And I guarantee you, unless something changes between now and the end of the telecast, his opponents are going to make him finish on that right lane. Because I haven't seen anything to tell me that that right lane all of a sudden is getting better.
So Fagan will move on. Coming into today, he had only won once in singles competition. Now it'll be 2. Will it be 3? He's going to have to get by that man who's weaving his way through the crowd right now, the legend, Pete Weber. Bowling in the tournament named in honor of his father. .256, 223. Good news for Fagan. A, he wins. B, he's kind of figured out that right lane. C, he's upped his score from 204 to 256. But up next, the man who admits this is like a major tournament for him. The guy on the right, PDW, takes to the wood when we return.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by the United States Bowling Congress, ensuring the integrity and protecting the future of the sport of bowling. Bowl with us. By Go RVing. Visit GoRVing.com for a free video. What will you discover? By CLR. CLR. All kinds of dirty, one kind of clean. And by H&R Block. Go to PBA.com and sign up to win tax services for 5 years and $5,000. H&R Block. You've got people.
We welcome you back to the Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California. Our continuing live coverage of the Denny's Dick Weber Open. Rob Stone, 13-time PBA titleist Randy Peterson joining you on this nice day in Southern California. We flash back to 1977, the King Louis Open. I have no idea what King Louis is, but Dick Weber won it. Just another title, this one toward the end of his career, one of his 30 PBA Tour titles.
King Louis was one of the most popular bowling apparel back in the day. That's the bowling shirts that were worn back then, and King Louis was a big sponsor of the tour. And Dick Weber, I don't know if Dick Weber wore King Louis shirts or not. I know Nelson Burton Jr. wore King Louis shirts.
Is King Louis still around?
Don't know.
It might be time for a resurgence of King Louis. Maybe they could get some Argyle jerseys like Michael Fagan has. Fagan heavy with this one, and he is taking on Pete Weber, the guy he grew up emulating. He told us yesterday, I watched him on TV. I tried to develop a similar arm swing that PDW had. But an auspicious start for Fagan here in essentially our semifinal match in our stepladder format. The winner to take on #1 seed, Norm Duke. Whoa. His first open frame of the day.
That was intentional. He's trying to get the ball to push right of the 3-6 to slide a 3-pin over into the 7. So he goes with the loft theory. Anything that's not on the ground can't hook. Just didn't get it far enough to the right. But I think he was a bit surprised by how much that shot hooked.
Pete Weber made 4 shows last season, all of them in the second half of the season. But PDW did not win a title for the first time since the 04-05 campaign. He has, though, made the championship round in 4 of the 8 events held here at the Fountain Bowl, won the 04 U.S. Open.
And no surprise that Pete makes Michael Fagan start the match, which ultimately makes Michael Fagan finish the match on the right lane.
There's PDW in his trademark glasses and a couple shades in attendance here in honor of that man. It's good to see him on television again. We've missed him. Bowled a 300 in match play Friday night here at PDW. This is 4th top 10 finish of the season, a 7th, a 9th, a 9th, and today, which will either be a 1, 2, or a 3.
Gotta let it go. Come on, let the thing go, will
You know, Rob, last season, Pete made those 4 telecasts, did not win, and he admitted to being nervous, you know, more so than he can remember. And that's what he's fighting through right now. He's fighting through the nerves and all of the pressure that goes along with him trying to win this tournament that's named after his late father. It's an extreme amount of pressure, and for those that are watching, tuning in, that have never played competitive sports, it's really a hard thing to describe to people. I know that you've played sports throughout your collegiate career, and you know what it's like. But man, you get up under the lights, the pressure, and everything that goes with this. It's an extreme amount of pressure to try to perform under, and only the greats get it done.
Well, the fact that it's affecting a Hall of Famer like PDW makes it even more amazing to me. And you realize just how much pressure he has put on himself to try and win this tournament in honor of his dad, similar to the pressure that Norm Duke put on himself to win a couple weeks ago at the TOC and win that 4th consecutive major. So good exposure for the PBA here in LA this week. Some great national exposure for the Australian Jason Belmonte. Finished 15th here. Wall Street Journal had an article on him. He was on Good Morning America this week. E60, the ESPN news magazine show, will be in Vegas doing some profile work on Jason. Here's Michael Fagan, your 5 seed. In the semifinals. It's been a rough start. Open frame spare. Still looking for that first strike here in the semis. And match number 1 was a scrappy affair for Fagan. Match number 2, he was blistering. 8 strikes. Here, open frame, spare, and he hopes another spare in the 3rd. As you take a look at the scroll on the bottom of your screen of our other finishers here this week.
Tony Reyes and Walter Ray Williams Jr. just missing out on bowling today on the telecast.
Great pickup! A lifeline has been extended. Needed that.
The last thing that Michael Fagan wanted to do was start this match against Pete Weber, open, spare, open. He somehow salvaged by converting the 2-4-10 in the 3rd frame. Now PDW clean through 2, looking for his first strike.
Drop and give me 10.
And I think the one advantage that Pete Weber has on bowling on this tough ball pattern when you're trying to circle the lane is that he has so much axis rotation that helps the ball to push right and return.
Nice work. Great artwork here in LA. The graphics department has been tremendous in Orange County, Southern Cal. There's your Flomax weekly update focusing on Pete Weber. Finished 9th a couple weeks ago in Vegas at the TOC. Likes that release, the walk away and the celebration.
And in talking with Pete, we asked him what was the turnaround for you. He said, well, the week off, Brother Rich and I got back to work and we worked on my push away and keeping his body more upright in the first couple of steps. And what that does for Pete Weber is it helps delay the ball into the swing just enough so that his timing isn't early.
Yeah, he knew he was going to be strong after the TOC. He knew his downtime was going to go home to St. Louis, get together with his brother Rich, and he was going to get fixed up. His brother Rich, Midwest PBA director, and also coaches at Lindenwood University there in St. Louis. Rich won 2 tour titles as well. 127 all-time tour titles won by the Weber family. Mercy. There's a strike for Fagan. So off that wonderful spare conversion in the 3rd, he gets his first strike in the 4th. It's now a 24-pin match.
Yeah, this is a great shot, too. He trusts this one, gets it to the right spot down the lane with the right amount of speed and rotation. And the result is perfect.
Michael Fagan and 4 other bowlers and their wives or girlfriends rented a house in Newport all week, about 10-15 minutes away. A week full of rooftop barbecues with a view of the Pacific. I'm a little angry I wasn't invited.
I never got the invite either.
No. Back-to-back jacks for Fagan. He's back, folks.
And that was a large move left right there. You know, you wonder, well, let's see, he just went light and left the 2-4-10 on that left lane. Why would he be moving farther left? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he knows that there's a lot of hook in the middle part of the lane, and he's trying to get to the left side of that. That's exactly what he did.
Would have been 3 in a row for PDW, leaves the 10.
Boy, and that's a great shot by Pete as well. And on a tough oil pattern, when it's all you can do just to get to the pocket, the last thing you want to look at is bad pin carry.
He calls this season unsatisfactory. Making cuts, but doing little in match play, and he knows the personal significance of winning the title today.
That was awful good. To win a tournament named after my father, it would be like winning another major for me. So, you know, got to win it, keep it in the family, right?
Adding my dad's name to the list of tournaments won would be like a major for me. Yes, there are more nerves that come with it. That was Pete Weber to us yesterday. Finished 5th here last year. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Boy.
The way Fagan is rolling, the lead may be his in the very near future.
Yeah, now Pete's faced with a 2-4-8-10, and he'll try to get the ball to hook left of the 2-pin. The ball will take out the 2-4, hopefully slide the 8 over into the 10. Not to be.
Never got left enough. When we return, we'll tell you about PDW's goals and future plans in the sport of bowling. We welcome you back to the 162nd PBA event in the great state of California. This is the Denny's Dick Weber Open, live coverage here on ESPN. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you. Fire up the Go RV and RV next week and head just a little bit east of us to Las Vegas, the Cashman Center. Live coverage 1 Eastern for the USBC Masters. Sean Rash, your defending champion. After that, it's the Geico Plastic Ball Championship. That one should be interesting in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, just outside of Denver.
Bring your suit for the Masters, Rob.
Thank you for the reminder.
What color tie?
I'm gonna see if I can get something from the Michael Fagan collection, perhaps.
Nice.
Here is Fagan stepping up in the 6th. He has really solved things after sputtering out of the gate. An open frame and an 8 spare, then a huge spare conversion, and then back-to-back jacks. Gets the 3-bagger.
Let me bring you up to speed in this match. Michael Fagan now has the lead. You are now up to speed.
He's not the best bowling analyst at this set for nothing, people.
Re-rack, can I have one more?
Each player is allowed 2 re-racks a game, and it's their first order of business.
We urge you to head over to PBA.com, check out all the great merchandise and apparel that is available. Licensed PBA merchandise, including t-shirts, polos with the 50th anniversary logo, hats, hoodies, retros. You got it. Click on the shop tab on the PBA.com homepage.
I was this close to saying four-bagger before you got the ham bone in. That was a very aggressive shot by Michael Fagan. A lot of mitt in that shot there. And boy,
some
really
loft as well on that.
Some loft, a lot of mitt, and boy, did it check off the spot. And right now, Pete Weber trails by 22.
And coming off an open frame in the 6th. Just 2 strikes here in the semis for Weber. Come on, Messenger, do your job! PDW is a stronger bowler when he has the accompanying attitude.
Well, and when you talk to his ball ref this week, he said that Pete's got the attitude back, and he saw a lot of the old Pete Weber throughout match play, a little bit more of the fire there. Maybe it has a little bit to do with the fact that this tournament's named after his father.
He can max at 233. Back to back jacks for PDW. We asked him yesterday, what's left to do with your career? He said, and quickly, I want a Masters title, and I want that Player of the Year once, but I may have to wait for that until I'm a senior. And I said, so you're going to bowl the senior tour? Absolutely. Starts at age 50, so he's got another 4 years left till he starts rolling with the seniors. Plenty more bowling left in that man's body.
Hard to believe in one of the most prolific careers in the history of the sport that he has never won a Player of the Year honor.
Fagan looking for 5 in a row.
I'll take the fine.
In the 8th. And there's a savvy mood. He'll take a shot clock violation. It doesn't bother him.
Remember what happened to Rhino Page when he saw the shot clock. He had an issue with the shot clock, the biggest shot of his young career. Michael Fagan says, you know what? It's okay. I don't need to rush this. I'll pay the $100 fine. I'm good to go. I'm working on a 4-bagger. I want to put away this Pete Weber guy.
Smart man. Yahtzee!
Yeah, just a brilliant shot right here by the young man from Patchogue, New York. Patchogue?
Patchogue.
It's a tough word any way you say it.
Yeah. The way it's spelled is not the way you would say it.
Patchogue.
Patchogue.
Is there any meaning behind that? Did you get into that, or you didn't? Okay.
I didn't.
Next time.
Yeah. Sorry to let you down.
I do know that he attended the University of St. John's.
We got St. John's University.
Sorry, St. John's University. And he was a 3-time All-American there. So.
Leave the peripheral info to me, please.
Okay. Right now he's just shredding racks.
Yeah, 6-pack there for Fagan. And that one came in the 9th. A great time for it. Again, early struggles here in match number 3, but boy, he has figured it out with 6 straight strikes. Never won a singles title. He's going to have to go through 2 Hall of Famers. This man, Pete Weber, and then Norm Duke, should he move on. Weber in the 9th, looking for 3 in a row. Gets the nothing! Boy, did he need that 3-bagger.
Hit it enough times.
Yeah, that pin got slapped around about 2 or 3 times and still doesn't go down. And boy, when he needed a strike, he leaves the pesky 7-pin. And it couldn't have happened at a worse time, trailing in the match. It could have extended his streak to 3 in a row if he would have struck out and shot 230.
I think that 7-pin would have gone down had that other pin not tapped it from the side where it was kind of falling to. It almost kind of pushed it back and gave it its gravity back. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Leave the bowling analogy to me.
Exactly, my friend. Whoa, way heavy.
At least we know what our strengths are now.
And our weaknesses.
Yeah, I've been fully aware. Pete's going to be in the 200s with a spare here. Michael Fagan, although he started very slowly, 6 in a row is going to put an end to Pete Weber's day.
But it wasn't.
Kicks the 10. And Weber will take a seat. His day is done with a 2-0-1.
Well, at least I felt better.
I have a feeling we may be seeing more from PDW here in the second half.
I think you're right. It's always a good sign to turn things around and know that you're bowling well on a tough oil pattern.
Goes Brooklyn for the 7th spot.
Where does Norm Duke play this pair when he comes in to bowl for the title?
Who knows, but he'll be rolling that man, Michael Fagan, in our title match. Our Geico Championship recap and preview of the finals when we return to Orange County. We welcome you back to the 2009 Denny's Dick Weber Open. Our thanks to Gary Foreman and Dave Osborne, co-proprietors here at Fountain Bowl. Always do a great job, great crowd here as usual in Orange County, south of Los Angeles. Over the first 6 events of the second half of the season, PBA players have been competing in a separate point list sponsored by H&R Block. Point leader at the end of the 6-week H&R Block West Coast swing, which ends next week in Vegas, will receive 5 years of tax preparation and a $5,000 H&R Block Emerald prepaid MasterCard. And here's a look at your current point leaders. Time now for our Geico Championship recap. Randall?
You got it, Robbie. Match number 1, Michael Fagan takes on the reigning player of the year, Chris Barnes. He snaps Chris Barnes off 204 to 183. Then in match number 2, Michael Fagan catches fire. Big 256 against Ryan Shafer's 223. And in the last match you just witnessed, Michael Fagan takes down PDW 243 to 201, setting up an exciting title match against Norm Duke.
Fagan had 7 strikes in that semifinal win, all of them in order. He has never won a singles title. Can he do it today? He's going to have to get through that man, Hall of Famer Norm Duke, who's seeking tour title number 32, which would be the 5th most in PBA history.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by Etonic, the official footwear of the PBA. By Denny's, where America's favorite breakfast is now available to go. Real breakfast 24/7. By Edward Jones, making sense of investing. And by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less.
We are just east of the Pacific Ocean. Here in Fountain Valley, California, and we are set for our title match of the 2009 Denny's Dick Weber Open. Your 5 seed, Michael Fagan, to quote Bill Murray, the underdog.
Cinderella story.
Cinderella story, all the way up from the 5 seed spot to take on the 7th greatest bowler in PBA history, Norm Duke. Michael Fagan admitting to us yesterday, I'm not supposed to win this. Look at this field. I'm obviously the underdog. I just got to get through that first game and then start my run up the ladder. Well, the ladder has only one more rung left, and that is the title.
And Michael Fagan has started every match on the left lane today. And he's going to start the match right here, right now. Finish on that right lane.
Some loft and a strike.
And I think one of the things that he has going for him, Rob, is that he can play to his strengths. And that's what his strength is right there. You just saw it. A little bit of loft, a lot of speed, and a lot of hand.
Good shots.
He takes a seat. Claremont, Florida native Norm Duke. 27th year on the tour, 44-year-old. 31 tour titles, 6 majors, won 3 of those majors in 2008 alone. Has 2 titles already this season, looking for a third. There's Duke, who 2 weeks ago was inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame.
Well, it was a little weird at first because when they announced my name as a Hall of Famer, you know, at that point it kind of hits you. And, you know, to me the Hall of Fame is the history. It's the PBA story. And for me to have a chapter written in that story about me, it's just awesome. And something I don't take lightly.
Duke, a 2-time PBA Player of the Year in 2000 and 1994, has a great chance at winning it this season as well. Dialed in early is Storm and Norman.
And look at the difference in the 2 trajectories, or the 2 lines that these players are using. Norm did hook it this week. He goes right back outside to the high heat, right around first arrow.
Spare balls have been unnecessary so far in our title match. 3 total frames, 3 total strikes between these 2. Michael Fagan from Patchogue, New York, on Strong Island. Leaves the 4.
Float it, come on. Gotta float it on that thing. Float it.
There's Michael's wife, Amanda, right behind him in the blue dress. The 2 of them spent their off week like you should at Cabo San Lucas. All the old vets went home, got doctor's appointments, massages. They go down and swim with the Dolphins.
Again, no invite here.
Yeah.
You?
No, we're going to have to talk to the Fagan house.
We're going to have a little chat.
Take a look at the big picture of our 2 finalists here, and you'll notice that Michael Fagan does have 1 tour title. That came in a doubles event. So his title record in singles is 0 for 0. This would be his first ever single title, and it's a title that would really validate his existence here on the tour. And coming up from a 5 seed and going through 2 Hall of Famers and the reigning Player of the Year as well, mercy. Oof. Just missing.
All right, good shot.
The 9-pin.
How much moxie is Michael Fagan going to show us in this title match? He's bowled wonderfully all day. He's managed his game. He's made the tough split conversion to keep from falling way behind early on against Pete Weber. What does he have left?
So he starts off strike, spare, spare. Norm Duke steps up now looking for an opening 3-bagger, and he admitted that he really spent a lot of time and mental energy burning on trying to win that TOC, which would have been his 4th consecutive major. And he said, I was a victim of fry factor. 3 in a row for Norm. He said, my break, man, I just shut it down. I rested as much as I could. I was mentally exhausted, did some bowling, worked out every day, and he felt it. What was it he said to us last Sunday? That his game came back. Everything kind of went clear. He bowled in the morning, he was struggling, nothing was right. Came back later in the day and was like, boof, Rob, Randy, there it was. I was back. And he says, you know, 4 weeks in a row of bowling is kind of my max. He used to bowl 4 weeks and then take 2 off. And he's going to take some more time off this season as well. Opens up with a 4-bagger in the title match.
For those of you watching at home, you have absolutely no idea how great this man's touch is, because the line that Norm Duke is playing, if he were to pinch it or grab it just a little bit and go left of target, he runs the risk of missing the head pin left. That's how accurate, that's how precise he has to be playing the line that he's playing.
Fagan in the 4th off of back-to-back spares. Oof, wide right.
1-2-8-10 washout.
A 1-2-8-10 washout. He did convert this in the last match. Was it the last match?
No, he made the 2-4-10.
2-4-10, that's right.
That's just a bad shot there. You see the ball never picks up friction going down the lane and never gets back to the head pin. And, you know, it's amazing what pressure can do to you. And Norm Duke steps up and says, "Hi, Michael. Good luck in the title match. And, oh, by the way, here's a 4-bagger right at you."
And an open frame.
There's a lot on the line for Michael Fagan. A one-year exemption, $35,000 first place prize. And like you mentioned earlier, some validity to what he's doing out here. Was that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Good use of validity.
Thanks.
So strike, spare, spare, open frame, down 47 after just 4 frames.
See a lot of players in today's game blowing in that thumb hole to get a little moisture in there to give them a nice, secure feel in the thumb hole.
Man. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
And it may be the end of the line for Michael Fagan in this deep inside line because he cannot move much farther towards the center part of the lane. But the only thing he can do now is just to loft it farther down the lane.
He's had success lofting it today. Misses the 2 and an open frame. And Fagan in a world of hurt right now after just a wonderful run through the field.
Too freaking dry.
God. Yep, he's run out of lane.
Back-to-back open frames for Fagan. And here comes the Hall of Famer, Norm Duke, looking for tour title number 32, which would tie him for 5th most in PBA history with Parker Bone III. Drops an opening nickel and lights out.
Yeah, and he gets the opening from Michael Fagan, and he jumps all over him like a bulldog on a pork chop. And that's what makes the great ones. That's why he's a Hall of Famer. That's why he's a 31-time titleist with 6 majors. This guy he's just too good. And when you bowl against opponents like this, you cannot give them openings. Unfortunately for Michael Fagan, he's bowled wonderfully all day, but it looks like his shot, his oil from that deep inside part of the lane is done.
We had a great evening with Norm last night, a wonderful dinner at the winery just down the road here in Orange County. And it's good to spend some time with Norm.
Hey, you know what? I actually got the invite to that.
And I got the reciprocal invite off of you.
Yeah, and our great host, Ennis Torlich, invited us all out. Norm was there, Rhino Page was there, you and I, our producer, Paul Bronstetter. We got a great insight into what goes on with Norm Duke and what goes through his mind the night before the big show.
Takes care of the single pin conversion. Found out that Norm likes to talk in the third person. Actually, he did it once, and I reminded him of it for the entire evening. It's the 14th time that Norm Duke has been a #1 seed in a Stepladder final. He's 7-7 in those finals, and it is looking more and more like he's going to be 8-7.
Well, he's undefeated this season. He won the season opener of the World Championships and then won the doubles title with Liz Johnson.
In Reno. They had a chance for a 300 game in that one, and it was Norm who couldn't complete it in the 10th.
Ah, boy, just ran out of room. Come on.
What does Fagan take away from this run up to the title match from the 5 seed spot?
I think all positives. You know, he managed his game well. You just heard him say, man, just ran out of room. And in 4 matches in a 5-person or 5-man Stepladder finals, That's going to happen. But this is all experience for him, and he takes away nothing but positives.
Next week, Michael and Norm and company head over to Las Vegas, the third major of the season. It will take place on specially constructed lanes at the Cashman Center. Sean Rash will return to defend his title. Field of more than 425 of the best pros and amateurs in the world will be competing.
Oh,
yeah, that's a strong messenger.
That was fast messenger. Watch the head pin go to the sidewall and just in a hurry with bad intentions all over the 10 pin.
A little mock cheer there by Fagan at the end. Great personality on this young man from Long Island. Strike 6 of this title match for Duke in 7 frames.
Well, you can kind of see this one coming. You know, you saw what the lanes were like in the middle part of the lane, and at times this week, Norm got in and he hooked it. He can still do that, not to the same degree as a Michael Fagan, but he can still get in there and hook it. But his bread and butter, when he needs it, he can move out and play a little right to left shot with very little hand, a very low rev rate, and just pipe it right to the 1-3 pocket.
Win here would be Norm's 3rd title of the season, one more than Player of the Year leader Wes Malott, but Norm could pull to within 2 points of Malott on that Player of the Year standings list. Another strike. I mean, D for done.
Wow, what a performance. You know, I watched him in practice before the start of the title match in anticipation of where he was going to play. And I saw him playing out, and I said, yep, here we go.
He was really disappointed in his performance in Vegas at the TOC, called it unacceptable. As Michael Fagan makes an adjustment to the lane setup so he can work his body in a little further left on this right lane. Well, he is not walking a straight line. I mean,
he's zigzagging the ball return right now, absolutely.
And his body just to get to the release point.
I think bowling would be a much better game if the ball return wasn't on the approach, which was never really an issue 25 years ago. When I first started on tour, we never really played 5th, 6th arrow. And in today's game, because of the strength of the equipment, it's right. A commonplace.
I'll get
Take
over
the
it.
bar return off of the approach. Put it somewhere else. Of course, that would cost money and a lot of time and reconstruction.
Details. I don't want problems, I want solutions. Fagan in the foundation frame, 9th.
Michael Fagan showing you a straight game, and he's worked on that, Rob. He says, you know what, it's not great, but at times it keeps me in the game, and it helps me to avoid shooting 150s and 160s. I can bail out 190s, 2Os, 2-teens. And early on at the start of tournaments when the oil's fresh, it's been a big bonus for him.
Here's Norm Duke, your money leader this season. He's about to add more to it. This is a $35,000 payday and a 1-year exemption as well.
Now this is going to get Norm Duke just about at $150,000 for the year, or for the season rather.
Fan favorite across the country, and watch out, Wes Malott. Norm Duke just 2 points behind you now on the Denny's PBA Player of the Year race with this victory today. But huge points available in Vegas next week at the 3rd major of the season. Mercy. I mean, just mercy.
Yeah. Just make it look easy. And again,
Appreciate it, man. You too. Nice run today.
Just amazing the amount of talent, touch, and feel that has to go along with the type of shot he's playing. 2 more strikes in the 10th frame from 279 for Norm Duke. Michael Fagan just trying to get out of the way.
Good job, dude. Thanks so much. It's all right, I'm going to finish here.
Love.
Got to make it official, Norm.
Yeah. Got to sign that scorecard, if you will.
Title number 32.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Fagan just rolled, and it was still Norm's turn. So Norm was out celebrating with the fans. Fagan stepped up and said, "All right, I'll throw my effort here in the 10th." Norm's like, "All right, I got a couple glad handlers. Now I'll throw another one." And then here's Fagan to finish the others. Whatever works for you guys.
Well, it's a great week for Michael Fagan, and again, he should.
Last toss of the day here.
Yeah, he should take away a lot of good positives from this week. 278.
Buzzsaw.
Just made him look stupid easy. That's a bad mammal. Bad mammal.
The smallest ATM machine on the tour.
Thanks for coming now. You are the man. Thanks for coming.
Have a good weekend, brother.
Thank you so much. I was looking at your girlfriend while I was bowling. I'm sorry about that.
You gotta remind Norm, the mic is still on, my man. Wonderful character. Next week, Norm and the PBA head to Las Vegas. It's our 3rd major of the year. It's the USBC Masters coming away live from the Cashman Center. Live coverage on ESPN at 1 p.m. Eastern. Congratulations to Norm Duke. Career Tour title number 32.
Thank you very, very much.
Strong outing. 278 to 168. A 110-pin victory in the final for Randy Peterson and our entire crew. I'm Rob Stone. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.